begin. Find a nice comfy seated position. And if seated is not comfortable at all for you, feel free to lay down and come back up with us as we open the movement. But we start the first few minutes of every practice just breathing. Settling into some stillness, except for the movement of the breath. Without pushing or pulling or forcing, just gently build your breath slowly in through the nose and out through either the nose or the mouth. I say this a lot in our practices. Do what feels best for you. Breathing. Sometimes when we're more anxious, that in through the nose, out through the mouth could be a little more helpful. Breaking up the tension in the mind, in the body, and in the heart. And take about 10 more breaths here, hoping to get each breath a little slower, a little deeper. Just becoming a witness to the mind and its activity. No judgment, just observe. And in the centering, we are reconnecting with the body and the heart, often overridden by the mind. In the last part of our centering, bring the hands to heart center. Bow your head slightly. And if you like, set some intentions, sankalpa, or just one intention for your practice. The other option, or in addition, you can send out some prayers, or maybe send in some prayers. Maybe you need the most support in this moment. So take your time for intentions and prayers now. And if you like, join me in chanting the sound of Om to empower our prayers and intentions, to open our practice, and to honor ourselves and each other. Let's deep breath in. Adi Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we be peace, peace, peace. And take a moment, open your eyes, start to take a few big sun breaths, just reaching up as you breathe in, and exhaling down as you breathe out. You might remember from my intro video, Divine Spine, that we're going to be working with moving the spine through every practice. So right now, rooting it down, lengthening it up. And then coming into some simple side bending. Inhale, tall. Exhale over to one side. I don't care which way you go first. You can keep it nice and tall, or take it nice and deep. Emptying the breath. Inhale, come through center, both arms up. And exhale the other direction. One more to each side. Inhale, tall. How are you today? Exhale. Maybe that's a simple answer. Maybe it's complicated. Today, know that it's all good. Inhale, tall. Hands to heart center. Beautiful. Let's unwind the legs a little bit. Send them forward. Mine will go out of the frame. But circle your ankles, knees, and hips. Let me turn sideways here and bring my blocks closer. So coming into staff pose and just making it a soft, playful position here. Some flowing movement, warming up the ankles, the knees, and the hips. So you can kind of bend your knees so you get a little more action into the hip joints. Beautiful. And then we're just going to pull the knees in a little closer. Take the feet a little wide, more towards the edges of your mat. And press your hands forward. Open your fingers wide. And then point the fingers down to the earth. Point the fingers back up to the sky. And back down to the earth. All the while sitting nice and tall. Also start spinning the creases of your elbows. I'll talk about those a lot. Spinning those towards the sky. So warming up the wrist and the forearms, starting to engage the shoulders, the arms, and more of that tall, strong spine. Beautiful. Circle the hands a bit. In our work phase of the practice, we are often bearing weight down on our hands in table pose and downward dog, in lunges. Nice, we're going to get nice and warmed up there. And speaking of putting weight on our wrists, we bring the hands behind us. Those same big open foundation hands, I will preach about this all the time. As wide as you can get. If you absolutely can't be on your wrist, you can make fists like so. And I'll show you that option often. But go ahead and really plant your hands into the earth, the fingertips forward. Start to walk the hands side to side. Really hug your shoulder blades into the upper back. Press the heart forward. Those strong arms, elbow creases spinning ahead. Drop the knees side to side. These are called windshield wipers. I got a nice little crack right there on that first side. Great little warm-up activity. So we'll just do like 3 or 4 warm-ups after our centering in each of our classes. And I really encourage you to steal these from the videos and do them. It's not stealing. It's sharing. Do them, as soon as you get out of bed in the morning after you go to the bathroom. Just to wake the body up. Let's take the knees center again. Bring them in. Give yourself a big hug here. Those of you that know me know I'm all about the self-love. Yoga is such a self-loving practice. It's embodying that action. So just give yourself a big hug here. Curl up in a little ball. And I know it sounds corny. I'm real corny. You're going to figure that out here practicing with me. And I love that about myself. Maybe even say it out loud. I love myself. Beautiful. Come tall. Unwind a bit and scoot the feet to one side. Shifting yourself into a prone position. That means we're facing down towards the earth. Take the knees wide to the mat, big toes together, and we'll end our warm-ups with child's pose. And that looks like this, sinking back into your hips. Now, if your knees are tender, you can bring in a folded blanket, or I have this handy-dandy little meditation pillow. If my knees don't like to compress so much, I'm going to bring something in to set my hips on. And then fold down like so. I'm going to remove that for myself here and show you some options in child's pose. So I really like you to extend the hands and again keep engaging the arms. Maybe you take a moment floating your head and sweeping side to side to warm up the shoulders a bit more. At first, as I'm going into the pose, I'm kind of lifting my tailbone and really reaching back through the sit bones, the base of the pelvis. So essentially, your butt. And then as I drop my head, you'll see that I'm going to round the spine a little bit and just really relax. Beautiful. Always reconnecting to the breath. Take your time and start to walk your way back up into what we call table pose. So we're about 15 minutes in. This is a nice place. If this is all you've got, all you have time for, or all your body is really willing to do in this moment, you can pause. These little warm-up sections, again, are great as your whole practice if you're just starting out, or there's something to come back to as a yoga break or do at the end of the day, or just even if you do the whole hour to pick up again at some point in your day. Now we'll start to head into more of a work phase of our asana practice. We get into a little more strengthening, a little more engaging. So table pose is a very foundational, basic pose, but basic doesn't mean it's simple and you'll grow past it. It means you will keep coming back to it as a building block of your practice. So those foundation hands we talked about, I want you to set those on the earth. Middle fingers point straight ahead to the top edge of your mat, always. Open your thumbs as wide as you can towards the center of your mat. That said, if the wrists have any kind of issues, you can also make fists, thumbs pointing forward or thumbs pointing in. And just kind of play with that, see what works best for you. So those are some options. With foundation hands and foundation fists, the wrists line up right under the shoulders. We're spinning the inner edges of the arms, rotating them towards the front of the mat. And we're lifting the back of the head so that the neck is in line out of the shoulder blade space. A lot of times folks hang their head here. I want you to lift it up. I'm going to get my ponytail out of the way so you can see here. So instead of here or here, lift the back of the head, tucking your chin down and back into your ears. Beautiful. So we've been here for a minute, so let's move a little. Wag your tail, just kind of sway the hips side to side, but keep building that stability in the upper body, pressing the hands down, and also isometrically, like pressing your hands out. So that's isometric engagement there. And that's going to open the chest and the upper back a bit more and give you some stability in that lower body. Beautiful. This is neutral spine. Long from the tailbone to the crown of the head. In that back body, hips right over the knees. Tops of the feet pressed down to be a little gentler on the knees. If the knees need more support, you can always bring your mat in, give it more cushion, or even a blanket. Beautiful. So let's flow back and forth a little bit. Just kind of sinking back into child's pose, but keeping the heart and the head lifted. Then come forward through table and take your shoulders a little past the wrists. Let's do that just 2 more times. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale, come back to your starting position. Inhale, drop your tail, drop your belly, lift your tailbone, your heart, your head. Cow pose. Exhale, draw the middle back tall, round everything out. Tuck your head, tuck your tailbone under. Cat pose. 2 more big breaths there. Beautiful. Neutral spine. We're probably ready to get off those wrists. So bring in your 2 blocks. This is something you should have in your home practice. If you don't have them, you can prop up on tall fingertips here, or maybe work up to that level of the pose. Even as long as I've been practicing, I like to do my lunge work with a couple tall blocks. So kind of reaching forward, lean into your right leg, free up that left leg really slowly, try to draw it through between your blocks. And you can even play with that a little bit. Great way to build core strength is controlling the transition. Nice steady breath. So that's something you can play with a little bit more. As we step into this lunge, my feet are still hip width, my knees are still hip width, just like in table pose. We're just starting to create something more out of table pose. So that left foot is forward. The blocks are ahead, but I'm not going to bear my weight on them. I'm actually going to come tall on my fingertips. I can lift up through the heart as much as possible. I'm rooting down through the top of the back foot, and I'm just melting the pelvis forward and down a little bit. So kind of like a scooping action. And I'm starting to lift the heart. Some big stretch here. Hold the pose for 1 more breath, maybe melting a little deeper in the lower body, lifting a little taller in the heart. And then pressing down in the top of the right foot, the sole of the left foot. Start to straighten the left leg, but keep your head and your heart about in the same place. Woo, buddy. Hello, hamstrings. This is a half split. And you could bring the blocks back a little more if you like. You don't need to straighten that front knee all the way. If you do, fine. But don't force the hamstrings. Don't force anything in your body, ever. So just here can be plenty of stretch. As long as you're feeling something, something's happening. Beautiful. And let's take it to the other side. So left knee over the left ankle. Step that foot back again mindfully. And a couple times, pull your right foot through to your lunge. Just to build that skill of transitioning. You hear yoga teachers say this all the time. Transitions are just as important as the pose themselves. We want to be mindful. So organize yourself here. Root in the feet, top of the left, sole of the right. Soft with your toes, don't grip there. And keep the hips really squared off to the front of the room. Front of your mat, front of whatever. Nice. Melt the pelvis, lift the heart. As you get a little looser in the pose, you may even bring the blocks back. Come up here. Or you could stay a little more leaning forward from the hips. Let's find that half split. Pressing down in that left foot. Start to straighten the right leg. Again, keep the hips tracking like you're on train tracks, tracking straight back. Sometimes we flow forward and back with this movement. Right now we're holding and just kind of letting the body melt open. Kind of lifting the tailbone, lengthening through the crown of the head. Awesome. And take your time to come back through the low lunge. Slide or lift that right foot back. And then lots of choices. You're always going to have choices in my practices. You can come back to that first child's pose position here. Or if you have a little more practice under your belt, you can come from table pose into downward dog. An important transition here. So those strong arm spirals forward, those foundational hands, level hips, turn the toes under, and instead of isometrically pressing out this time with your arms, you're going to isometrically hug them towards each other. Pick up the low belly, engage there, turn the toes under, and start to lift your hips up, keeping your shoulders over your wrists at first, and then pressing into your hands to take your heart back towards your knees. So you want to get as straight of a line as you can from the wrists to the shoulders to the hips first. And then start to straighten your legs. Take your time to float back down, same way. Find table, and if you were in child's pose, come up from table. Let's prop up on the tall fingertips, or use your blocks if you like. Step your left foot through. Turn the right toes under. Step your right foot through. And land here in a forward fold. Lots of bend in the knees to begin with. Belly on the thighs. Sit bones working towards the sky. Just let your arms hang. Just let your head hang. This is the spot I like to take some big sighing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale with some sound through the mouth. Nice. Let's roll up the spine slowly. Call this ragdoll, just hanging out there. And then ragdoll your way tall, come into, I don't know, maybe well, let's not say a Barbie, but maybe a more full, solid doll pose here in mountain. Beautiful. Step up towards the front of your mat. And take your time to align bottom to top. Feet face forward. You're in the footprint, lighten the toes. Arches rising. Your legs become strong, but don't lock out the knees. A very subtle bend at the back of the knees. Coming up through the pelvic space, Relax your sacrum back. Lift tall from your pubic bone to your belly button here. You could even do this arm position if you wanted. Rise up tall through your sides. Reach the arms down towards the earth. Spiraling the elbow creases forward. Tucking your chin down and back, just like we did in table pose. And close your eyes. Take 3 more breaths here. Strong mountain pose. Finding a little more softness as you hold the pose. Beautiful. Add a sun breath here. Reach up. My hands will go out of the frame, but bring them to prayer pose. And then drop them behind your head. Just take a moment to lean your head back into your hands a bit. Elbows towards the sky. Lift the front ribs. A little baby back bend here, standing. Stretch tall through the upper belly, through the heart. Stay strong in the legs, in the earth. And inhale, come tall here. Exhale the hands back to the heart. Sit into a little baby chair pose. Weight goes into the left foot. And step your right foot back. As high of a lunge as you can come to. As soon as you step back, you want to engage the midline, which means you're scissoring your thighs towards each other. But your legs are hip width. So don't get too narrow, because you'll be more wobbly side to side. You could even take a wider stance from left to right, but then be hugging the legs towards each other. Engage down in that front knee, bringing it as close as you can over your ankle, but don't go beyond it. Stay here. Super strong and straight in that back leg. Heel tall. Big pose. Steady breath. Awesome. Turn it into a warrior. Bring the right heel in and down. Keep the hips facing forward as much as possible. Keep that nice deep bend in the front leg and sweep the arms overhead. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana. Beautiful. Hands to the heart. Lift the back heel. Step forward. And maybe it takes a few steps to get there. It's okay to transition differently. Just kind of hop that right foot back up. Big sun breath in. Reach up. Hands down through the heart. Down through that baby chair. And take a nice forward fold. Exhaling. Spending a breath. Inhale, bend the knees, hips back, hands to the heart. And exhale, go tall. Right to the other side. Little chair, weight into the right leg. Step back. High lunge. Wardrobe adjustment. I'm going to gaze straight ahead or to the earth. That's also going to help with stability. This is some balance work too, isn't it? Beautiful. Turn it into Warrior 1. Drop the back heel in and down. You have an angle in that back foot. You're feeling the outer edge of the back foot. Square the hips off as much as possible. Keep deepening in the right knee. Bring the core towards that front knee. Reach up. Extending through the fingertips, dropping in the shoulders. Did I give you enough to think about? Lots of breath. Just breathe. I'm practicing with you. It's tricky. Beautiful. Hands back down through the heart. Turn the left heel forward and step or hop your way back up. Big breath in, reach tall. This time bend the knees a little bit, reach out as you fold and let go. Nice. Lift your heart, bend your knees a bit, get your fingertips to the earth, and start to walk your feet back. Plant the hands, a different way to come into downward dog. Find a little release here. If you want to come right down to child's pose, go for it. But maybe hang out for a few breaths in that big down dog. If you know three-legged dog, you could take a little release there. One leg up, stack the hip over. Looks like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. Good. Try the other side. And who cares if your belly hangs out? Everyone to table. Whew. And take a break. Just come back to your seat. Move my mat out a little bit here. Oh, how are you doing? Good? Good. So, that work phase, I think we did a little more time in the work phase. It takes a lot of time just to set up the poses. You want to always be working towards that proper alignment, because we're not just working with the physical body here. We're working with our energy body. And the alignment of the physical helps unblock and balance the energetic body, which in turn then helps the physical body. And of course helps our mind and our emotions, our mood, everything else. So, as we come down to the earth here, let's take a wide straddle seat. Coming into finishing poses. So, really work the feet out. Hopefully you can see mine. It's tricky to do this video thing. I love being with a class and then seeing people's faces. So this is different, but I'm imagining all of you that I know and that I have practiced so many classes with. And even people I've just seen on Facebook. I'm trying to imagine you right here practicing with me, sharing this awesome gift of yoga. So just kind of play in your straddle seat. A lot of times when I go into forward fold, seated, I'll kind of float back and forth like a leaf coming off a tree. I'm just kind of reaching forward, if you like, and then just finding somewhere to settle in. So this is another good place to bring in blocks, if I can find them. You could bring a block in to rest your forehead on. And the blocks have different levels, so tall, medium, small. You come down a little lower maybe. But just settling in to a nice, easy release. Take your time to come back up and out. The block to the side. Just nice and slow. Wiggle your legs in. Leave them straight out in front of you. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see everything. So back to that staff pose that we did earlier in our warm-up. But this time using it as a foundation for some seated twisting. So once you have this foundation here, you're a 90-degree angle. It's kind of like mountain pose, just bent in half a little. You're going to bring the right knee in towards the chest. Give it a hug there. Planting the right foot down, toes face forward. And I like this arm position. Wrapping my right elbow around, left elbow level with the shoulder about, and kind of bring the hands together in Ganesha Mudra. Linking the hands and pulling them apart a little. to lift yourself tall. This is sage pose. This sets us up for our twist, keeping the right foot grounded, left leg really extending and that foot flexing. Switch the elbows. Start to wrap the left elbow around the right knee and sweep the right arm behind you, coming into a twist. What I think about here first is bringing my belly button to my right inner thigh, turning that low back, low belly first. You could even inch the left leg forward a bit. And then start to turn through the belly, through the heart, chin to the right shoulder. And keep yourself tall. Don't lean back here. Nice and tall. You don't have to wrap the elbow. You can just use your hand. And just hang out here for several steady breaths. Take your time to unwind, switch legs, rebalance on your sit bones, realign, hug that left leg in, bring yourself tall. You can also just hold the hands here for sage pose. And make your way into the twist on this side, nice and easy. Again, I'm thinking about and working that belly button into turning it into the left inner thigh. And notice how close I'm staying to my leg here, my left leg, not leaning back. Again, I can't preach about that enough. So we want the spine to be rooted and rising and then just spiraling. Beautiful. Turning the rib cage, so feeling that left rib draw back, the right rib draw forward. In this fun, and I'm going to keep pressing myself tall through that back arm. I'm going to keep the awareness in that extended leg. And then notice the shoulders. They'll often tense up. We want to relax them down. Chin to the left shoulder and pause. Patiently unwinding. Bring the right knee to meet the left. We're in that finishing phase now. I didn't note that for you. But once we came back down to the ground, we transitioned from that work phase to that finishing phase. I'm going to reach forward here and do a little core work on the way down. If your back is okay with this, you can slowly round down. You may want to even hold the back of the legs to help a little as you come to the earth. And then I'm actually going to turn the other way so I'm closer to the mic. And then once your back is on the ground, you're going to scoot your feet close to your sit bones. And just take a moment to rock the pelvis. So tucking, pressing the low back into the floor, and then arching where you're creating some space. See, I can get my arm through there? Creating some space between your low back and the earth. So play with that a bit. Often we're really uncomfortable with this second chakra, the pelvic region, because there's so much shame in our culture around the divine feminine, and that's the divine feminine center. It's okay to embrace your sensuality, this yummy presence in the moment, in the flesh, feeling good. And then go ahead, relax the back for a few breaths. Just stop moving the pelvis, hands to the low belly. Follow the breath for a moment. Just still. And then extend the arms right at your sides. Reach towards your feet. Rock a little side to side. Wiggling the shoulder blades together and creating that arch in the spine. My head is resting on the earth, chin tucked to the chest and drawing back. So the back of the neck is nice and long, releasing the jaw. Press into the hands and feet, just lift into a gentle bridge pose. So engage the back body to open the front body. You can keep it soft here. Certainly if you like, you can bring the hands together under the sacrum, the base of the spine, and kind of wiggle those shoulders in more. Press into the earth through the arms, and you create a little more bridge and a lot of lovely heart opening. Spend a few more breaths, keeping the knees hip width, grounding into the feet and legs. Gently releasing. Come on down. Feel that flat back into the floor again. Let out a sigh. We've got to give the stress an exit. You know, don't be shy. I know I'm loud. My family's always reminding me of that. But be loud in your yoga too. It's okay to express yourself. Right knee to the chest. Give it a hug. Then the left. Beautiful. Walk the feet a little wide to the mat. Arms out in cactus arms. I got a little close here to my altar. Drop the knees to the right. Take a reclined twist. Those strong standing poses work the quadriceps in the front of the thigh. So here, pressing that left knee towards the midline and away, really stretches long. The front of the thigh, up through the hip flexors, up through the side body. Feels good. One more nice deep breath there. And take your time. Come back through center. And take your knees the other way. You might even want to pick the hips up. Scoot them over to the right as you drop the knees left. Your chin can stay centered. You can turn to the right. When you do these reclined twists, that's an option, is to turn your head the opposite direction of your legs, but sometimes that creates a lot more deepening that's not so comfortable in the low back. So be mindful, and if your neck has any kind of interesting situations going on, you may want to just keep the chin center. Good. These are called finishing poses, or winding down, as I like to call them. So you really want to deepen that skill of letting go. That's why we do all the active stuff, so it's easier to just surrender, to just let go here. One more deep breath on the left. And take your time. Bring your knees back to center. And I often tell folks in my classes, if there's any final poses your body's really calling for before we go into relaxation, honor that. So maybe both knees to the chest. Or we didn't do any hip openings, so maybe it's happy baby, grabbing the toes. This is a fun pose. But then when you're ready, I'm going to wiggle right into corpse pose. And I know that sounds morbid, corpse pose. Why would something in yoga be related to death? Well, honestly, everything in yoga is related to death. I know this sounds silly, but we do corpse pose at the end because the idea of becoming free, of returning to a place of peace deep within, we have to let shit die. Pardon my French, but we have to let go. And so all the work we do with breath work and poses, here we just surrender. Literally just lay on the ground. Let the earth hold us. For the first few moments, some deep cleansing breaths. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable, or finding a gaze to the ceiling. Palms facing up if at all possible. If you're really anxious, they can reach down into the earth. Feel a little safer. But now let go of even working on the breath. I just want you to be. Stop trying. Fixing. Producing, accomplishing. You are enough at your essence. You're going to stay in this pose. I'm going to come to seated so I can chant for us. I'll let you know when it's time for you to come up. No matter what your mind does, just keep letting go into the earth. Challenging that fear that tries to live in us, that tries to rob us of our joy. We simply don't react. It has no power. Sharing a mantra that I love, the Anusara invocation. You don't need to know what the words mean. Just let the vibration, the resonance, move through you, returning you home to the knowing that you are love. Always, always. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Muertaye Nishprapankaya Shantaya Niralalambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Muertaye Nishprapankaya Shantaya Niralalambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Muertaye Nishprapankaya Shantaya Niralalambaya Tejase. Just continue to breathe, just continue to be. Sometimes this is the hardest part of the practice. From your fingers to your toes, the crown of your head, you are perfect in this moment, in every moment. Perhaps you can find yet another layer of letting go. You are brave. Drop what no longer serves you. Start to draw the breath back in now. That full, deep breath we created in our practice. Believing your body connected to the earth. Just feel how the breath illuminates, alivens, awakens every cell. You are more than this body. Yet for now it is your home and your sacred vessel. So starting to move into it, wiggle the fingers and toes. Ever so gently roll the wrists and the ankles. Maybe even roll your head side to side. Those 5 points of you sparkling. And let's start to take some bigger movements. Maybe you draw one knee to the chest and the other. Maybe you find some gentle windshield wipers again, side to side. But within the next few breaths, transition yourself onto your right side and pause there for a moment. Kind of another little snippet of savasana. Your eyes can stay closed here as you gently press yourself back up to seated. Starting full circle to where we began. Hands at heart center. Calling back into your awareness, your intentions, your prayers. And knowing that those can manifest through you, through your practice. Ending with an om, if you like, joining me to seal in the sweetness of our time together and to send some of this love out into the world. Nice deep breath in. Adi Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We are peace, peace, peace. Namaste. I can't thank you enough for sharing in this practice with me. I hope it brought you closer to the knowing that you are everything. You are whole, you are perfect. I know I get over the top with it, but it is over the top. This is the truth. We are light. Please feel free to let me know about your practice, about your experience. Connect with me wherever, however, through the website, social media, email. I would love to share more deeply in your journey. You take care of yourself. Bye.